All right, so the first thing that I'm demonstrating in this video is something you should already know, and that is how to submit your paper for a peer review process. And most of you have already done this, so I think you know how to go through this particular step. So you are submitting your paper for the peer review. You come to this page, which is the assignment. Be sure you have, of course, pulled up the assignment itself, downloaded this PDF, read through the assignment, and understand how the assignment works. And that is that you need to submit the draft by the deadline, which in this particular case, for this assignment that I'm talking about today, is Saturday night, May 30th, but depending on when you're watching this video, it could be any deadline. And then peer review partners will be assigned by another assigned date. Again, at the time I'm making this video, that will be Monday morning, June 1st. And there will be a specified number of papers that you will review. In this case, it will be 2, but that could be 3 or 4 or 1. It just depends on the assignment. Then there will be a deadline that you need to complete your peer reviews by. In this case, Wednesday, June 3rd. And then there will be another deadline by which you will submit final drafts. And there will be another assignment that will show up in your on your calendar where you'll actually submit that assignment. So that you won't submit that assignment in this same place. But to submit your draft for peer review, you just click this button over here on this link over here on the right, Submit Assignment. And then you want to browse, and it brings up this kind of typical box that you should all be familiar with. You've all been using your computers long enough to know how to browse your computer, find your particular paper, and click Open. You can make any comments you want. None are necessary, of course, but just make sure that it's the paper that you want. Be sure if you have assignments that have similar names that you select the one you intend, and then all you have to do is say Submit Assignment. And it will say Submitting for a moment or two, and then it'll say Turned In over here with the details of your submission. And at this point, it'll say Assigned Peer Reviews, None Assigned. That's important because this is where you're going to return on Monday morning, and that's where you will see the peer reviews that you have been assigned. And that's how you'll access those peer reviews at a later date. So that's what I'll show you next, is how to access those peer reviews that you've been assigned. So that's what I'll show you next. Okay, so let's assume now that a couple of days have passed and everyone has turned in their papers and you have been assigned some peer review. So you're going to go back to the course, and you'll see that you've submitted your paper. So you come back into this assignment now, and here's what you see. You've turned it in, and then you see that you have assigned peer review, and you will see that you have, in this case, 2 papers. For purposes of this sample, I've just assigned myself 1 sample peer review here, and Bobby in our course graciously let me use her as a sample test student, so thank you, Bobby. But let's say that I come in and I see that Bobby is assigned to me to do an assigned peer review. So what I do to do my peer review is I click on Bobby's name, and I come to this page. And I see that I have a couple of options. And so you will have a couple of choices of how you want to do your peer review. If you come over here to the left, then and just click on the paper, then what it's going to do is download the paper to your computer. You can either just open it, in this case it's a Microsoft Word document, or you can click Save File and it'll download it to your downloads, and then you can open it from your download file. And if you're really comfortable using the Microsoft Word comment features, if this happens, then you click Enable Editing, of course. Otherwise, it would be a protected document and you wouldn't be able to use the comment features. If you're really comfortable using the review features, using the markup pane or using redlining features, if you're using a tablet and you want to ink the document using a stylus and you want to just write directly on the document, you know, making comments using kind of sticky notes, however you're comfortable doing it, or adding new comments through the document, highlighting things. If this is how you're comfortable marking up the document, then by all means download the document and mark it up, adding your notes and your comments in this manner. You can track the changes if this is what you're familiar doing. I think that's a great way to do it, using redlining so that she can clearly see what you've done, what changes you're indicating or what you're suggesting. This just depends on your level of familiarity with Microsoft Word, and how comfortable you are. So if you're really familiar with Word and with using the highlighting features and the comment features or the track changes features or the inking features, and this is what you want to do, and then just save it again, after you've marked it all up with your comments, and then File, Save As, and save it onto your hard drive. And then you can come into this comments box and say, here is your paper, and then attach the file. You can browse to it on your computer and attach it. That is great. You can also leave a media comment where you can actually record your voice and leave her some verbal comments. That's always great. You can always leave some additional feedback that way. I think that's always effective. And then click Save. Always make sure you click Save. That's a great way to give feedback. Now up here at the top, it's going to say this peer review is not finished. For it to be considered finished, you need to leave at least one comment and fill out the rubric form to the right. Just ignore that. You're not going to fill out this rubric. I'm going to fill that out as I'm grading. And that's going to be a little disconcerting for those of you who are a little bit OCD, because you're still going to have the little triangle with the exclamation point through it when you finish your peer review. It's not going to look like you finished, but don't worry. As long as you've done your peer review, then don't worry, because your part is done, and I'll see that when I'm grading the peer review, so don't panic. The other option, if you don't want to download the paper and mark it all up on your hard drive, you have a second option, and there are pros and cons to this option, and let me show you what it is. If you will click this side of the peer review screen that says View Feedback, it's going to bring up what they call the Canvas Speed Grader. This is what I use when I give feedback on final drafts sometimes, or on rough drafts. And here are the pros and cons. The pro is that you get to do it right here in Canvas, so I think it's a lot faster. There are some really handy tools that you can use. For instance, you have like a strikeout. So if you see a piece that you don't think should be there, that you think she should maybe replace with something else, you can highlight it and then type, and whatever you think she should have written there instead. She analyzed, which wouldn't be correct here, but I'm just demonstrating. So you could put that instead, and that wouldn't be correct. And if you realize that was a mistake, you can right click over that and say remove the strikeout. So there's that option. You can just write text. If you just wanted to type, "Hi Bobby, Thanks for letting me review your paper. So you can just write text there if you want, change the color of it, change the font size, you know. So you have some options for adding text to the page. You can highlight certain things if you want to just add some highlights to parts of the paper. You can just draw on the paper if you're feeling creative. I don't know why. Sometimes that's important, you know, if you just want to circle something. But the feature that I think is most important are these features here. The pointer, the area comment, and the text comment. So, for instance, if you have somebody who hasn't indented the first part of a paragraph, you can always point to it and then write, indent the first line of each paragraph. You know, that's always handy to be able to do that. Or if you see a paragraph that is probably in the wrong place, you can sort of draw a box around the whole paragraph and say, is this paragraph in the right place? Something like that. Or if you want to just highlight a section and say, this is a great sentence, oops, something like that, or, you know, you need a citation here, something like that. That's a great feature, and you can always change the color of the highlight if you wanted to highlight certain parts blue and certain parts yellow, or whatever. So there are lots of great tools that you can use. As you can see, the window's a little bit small, so that's a disadvantage, especially if you're working on a smaller system or if you're on a tablet. This is going to be not necessarily the greatest tool. But again, there are some advantages that you're not having to download to your laptop as well. So you still want to make sure that you leave a comment. I added my comments using the Canvas feedback program. Make sure you save your comment, and then you can just close that right back up. Whoops, and then it disappeared. And then save that. Oh, sorry, it did add it. Sorry. Well, now it's there twice, so that's handy. And then when Bobby comes in to look at her feedback, she will have these same options. And when you come in to look at your feedback, you'll see something similar to this when you look at your assignment. You can either download your paper or you can click View Feedback. And when you open the View Feedback window, you're going to see all of these comments that people have made on your paper. If they've left comments in this form. If they've uploaded drafts of your paper, you'll see them over here. And you'll have to then download your paper to see the Word comments that they've made. So that is the option that you have to make comments right in Canvas. But that's how you do the peer review process. Like I said, when you go back into the assignment, this is the one thing that you'll notice is that when you go into the assignment, it's still going to show the little box here with the exclamation point. Even though you've done your peer review, it's going to say incomplete because you didn't fill out that rubric. And that's because I will fill out the rubric when I'm grading the peer reviews and when I'm grading your drafts. So don't let that bother you. As long as you know you've done it, then you're okay. And don't let that bother you. But that's how the peer review is done. Make sure you meet these deadlines. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, I did want to say, and I'll say this again in the notes, don't be shy about your peer review. It's not helpful to a peer to just say, good job, or I liked your paper. You know what this assignment is, right? Look over the assignment sheet. You know what you were trying to accomplish in your own paper. You know what the questions were for that particular assignment, what the student should have been accomplishing in the assignment. Um, Tell them what they did well, tell them what they didn't do well, um, and don't be shy about sharing your opinion and your response. There should be a good 7 to 10 comments at least as you do your peer review. If you've only made 1 or 2 little comments and they're just small things like nice or I think you did well, then that doesn't help your peer make any progress. So please don't hold back. You know what the assignment was as well as they did. So that's what I want to encourage you to do with your peer review is don't be shy or hesitant in giving feedback. So that's the assignment. That's how you accomplish it. Let me know if you have questions and have fun.